Welcome to Inside the Mind Meditations. I'm Denise, and I'm so glad you're here. And yes, these are free and fully guided meditations. So if you're skipping forward to see what's next, you'll notice that there are long periods of silence, which is actually required for meditation. So nothing to worry about, your sound is okay. It's only that the meditation requires a bit of silence. So here we are on part 10 of the fundamentals of physical and mental relaxation. As we become more accustomed to meditation, we begin to notice life is largely comprised of distractions or moments of entertainment, all of which are reflected through feeling and thought, ultimately manifesting in the body. Moreover, we notice however much we might like to think we can ultimately arrive at a place of no mind or no thoughts as a goal, we are beginning to realize that no mind is a lofty goal and cannot be achieved until no judgment is achieved first. So until we get to a point the mind is relaxed enough to give us a break because we have stopped judging ourselves and others, we'll stay with the goal of no judgment rather than working toward no mind, because we may realize no judgment actually allows us to see things more clearly, and not only ourselves, but others. Clarity is the key to success in anything, including commanding the heart over the mind rather than being controlled by the mind through fear. So if we let go of the goal of no mind, then the mind doesn't resist. And when we let go of no judgments, we start to notice we attract different things. Why? Because we aren't in resistance. What we resist, we get more of. When we allow things to be as they are without judgment, only observation, we are commonly surprised at what we get, we want, though we made no effort toward that end. However, if we want silence or demand it, the slightest noise will be a distraction. Don't care if you have silence, you probably won't notice the SWAT team outside. When our mind is not at peace, not only do sounds overwhelm us, but we cannot hear what is being said to us. Even writing will read something other than it is. Mostly those things, what we hear and what we read, will actually be what our fears are hearing or think that we are receiving. So we hear and read things differently from what they are. And we all do that to one degree or another at different periods of our lives for different reasons. And if we'll observe, those moments are fear-based. We hear something other than what was said, read something other than what was written. All of it, our greatest fears glaring back at us. Sort of like the subtitles that spell out entirely incorrectly what is said in some places, like, hi underneath and welcome to Inside the Mind. Like, we're in the middle of a diamond mine or a coal mine or something like that. Similarly, our minds have this great ability to translate and convert whatever is heard or seen to whatever it believes it is in fear. And interestingly, its translation will be stronger than the truth as long as we hold on to judgment. Therefore, it's very, very important to let go of judgment. Only through letting go of judgment and the fear it arises out of can we create space to command the heart over the mind rather than be controlled by the mind and its fear. The mind is not a bad thing. It is here to protect, but when it protects without reason, it can guide our lives in the wrong direction. And this is difficult to understand, but eventually we will arrive at that understanding. And until we do achieve that understanding, as we learn to drop our judgments, we start becoming a part of the solution rather than remaining a part of the problem we so commonly blame everyone else for. And we may notice other improvements along the way as eventually, having left our judgments behind, we stop reacting and start responding in ways that we would appreciate, and thus others in turn appreciate. And when we arrive in appreciation and are appreciated, things flow toward us. Of course, we have to continually practice so that the new way of doing things stick with us rather than fade away. Similarly, training the dog. If we don't keep it up, he'll be digging up the flower bed we so carefully planted, laying waste to all again. And we are really no different than the dog. So most of us wreck our garden a few times before we learn to keep the dog out of it. Well, train the dog well enough to enjoy it rather than destroy it. That is the goal with meditation in our mind. And like training a good dog, we train our mind through positive reinforcement without judgment, only observation. And when we do that properly, we gain clarity. But what does clarity even look like? Our first recognition of clarity or clue of what it looks like can be found when we observe that when we meditate, our hearing is a bit different than when we are awake and distracted, even if everything is quiet around us. During meditation, hearing becomes more clear, sounds become louder, yet we notice we are not irritated by what we hear when in a transcendental state, because we accept the sounds without judgment. There is no resistance, and thus sounds don't disturb us as they did before. And when in this state, sometimes we notice sounds we should have noticed prior to meditation but didn't. And so when we arrive at this space of clarity and active living, other things will start to change for us simply because we have become more aware. However, until then, things will remain the same because whatever we resist, we get more of. If we are at peace, nothing bothers us. If not, everything is a problem, including us, as we have become part of the problem. So when the mind is loud, sounds are difficult to hear or not heard at all unless we want silence. And just like the voice we argue with that is saying one thing, but we are hearing another, everything else is just as confused. And when we don't want to hear anything, sound is especially loud and can become so loud and irritating it drives us to madness or anger. The louder the mind, the less certain of anything we are. Because regardless of how clear it is that we are not hearing properly, we don't understand that. We think that the false reality is the reality. However, the more quiet the mind, the more certain we are, and the more command we have, because we are more aware. And this is just one of the many reasons we meditate. When we become more aware of self, everything else becomes more clear to us. And when we drop judgment, good things move toward us rather than away. Simply, we do not attract what we want. We attract what we are. And meditation is a time of reflection and a period of relaxation that when practiced enough, we begin to carry it in our daily life. And when we forget, we know where to find ourselves in our bodies. Now, I know this is starting to get a bit complicated in that we are still expanding our meditation during our meditation, but now we are beginning to make an attempt, probably what feels like a futile attempt, but an attempt to bring meditation into our active lives. And don't worry, there is no failure in effort, only experience gained. And when we personally experience something, it makes us more aware. So each attempt is a success, and you're doing a great job if you're trying. as you're becoming more aware already, even if you realize for every day of a few years you totally forgot checking in with the body or observing the mind during the day. Getting to that point of realizing we completely acted out of habit and everything is a major achievement, which is absolutely awesome. So congratulations if you're trying to be aware of yourself and your mind during the day. And if you missed, you can always recognize it at the end of the day and work on that later. But we will work on that together too as we move along in further meditations. So now we will prepare for the meditation. As we begin to observe how our thoughts create feelings in our body and affect the breath, and as we observe how those thoughts are attached to the tension and pain, or perhaps more fun feelings we feel when they are not neutral, we will become aware of just how important it is to find neutral space, because only in a neutral space are we able to experience joy, and only in joy can we experience healing. Please be aware neutral does not mean apathetic. It means a place where no opposite can arise, so we experience joy as neutrality. And like joy, neutrality is without condition. As we further meditation, the goal is to take that into life, active life, and endeavor to observe self without judgment throughout the day. And don't worry, it generally takes years of practice to achieve that, but it eventually pays off. And even trying is a beginning, even if we only note at the end of the day we totally forgot to check in, because checking in is not a habit for us like so many other things. And with that in mind, let's begin in the usual way of lying down on our backs with the spine as straight as possible, hands by hips, palms turned up, and take a few deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth to ready the body for relaxation. And now, while lying on your back, let's begin rubbing the palms of our hands together at the same time that we rub the soles of our feet together, creating enough friction to activate all 2,000 nerve endings throughout the body. And having done that, please sit with your spine straight in whatever position is comfortable for you in preparation of setting our intention. And with about 5 pounds of pressure as you press your palms of your hands together in prayer pose, press the sides of your thumbs into your breastbone with another approximate 5 pounds of pressure so that the fingers are angled away from the body at a 60-degree angle, but the thumbs are pressed firmly into the breastbone. And let's activate the thyroid now by closing the eyes 9/10 of the way and staring at the tip of our nose while crossing our eyes. And now set your attention through great feeling from your heart, starting with, I ask this for myself and for whomever else and also for the entire universe, then feel your intention deeply within your heart. And let's begin. And please now lie flat on your back with your spine straight, hands beside hips and palms up, and allow your eyes to rest comfortably as you settle in and make any last-minute adjustments for physical comfort. And once settled, allow your mind to wander. And as your mind wanders, allow it to review or rehearse the day's events, and allow it and observe it without judgment. And notice the feeling you have in your body as you observe these thoughts. And note whether they are pleasant or not pleasant, or neutral. And if they are pleasant or not pleasant, notice where you feel them in the body and how those thoughts and emotions feel within those points. Opening your eyes softly, return your focus to your surroundings and look around the room so that you become entirely aware of your space and the objects within and any sounds. As you become aware of your surroundings, begin deep breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Inhale through the nose, filling the stomach region until you can breathe in no more, and then expand the breath through the lungs, expanding the rib cage, creating more space within. Exhale through the mouth, letting the entire body collapse as it deflates and the navel falls toward the floor. Continue breathing in and out, fully inhaling and fully exhaling. And with the next breath, gently close your eyes and settle into the space you are lying on, noticing any sounds around you and accepting them for what they are. And now turn your attention to the body and without judgment, observe. Does your body feel heavy or light, tense or at ease? And feel the weight of the body as it sinks onto the surface you are lying on, observing the points of contact for the head, the shoulders, the back, hips, arms and hands, legs and feet. Feel them settle in comfortably, noticing the breath has returned to normal. And now turn the attention to the body, letting the points that want attention guide us. Notice areas of discomfort while also making note of the areas of ease. Observe each for what it is, nothing more. Realize it and accept it. And as you are doing this random scan, if the mind interrupts, note pleasant, not pleasant, or neutral. And if it continues to erupt, notice what kind of thought or feeling you are having with one word. That one word could be something like projecting, rehearsing, funny, anticipation, angry, sad, happy, whatever it is, only one word. And notice how those thoughts or feelings feel in the body where they are attached to. Are the thoughts and feelings leaving your body feeling pleasant or non-pleasant or neutral? By doing this, over time we will begin to see how the mind uses our time and how those thoughts express themselves in the physical sensations of our bodies. Now that we have an overview of the body and how it is feeling, let's go more deeply into that and begin by scanning the entire body, starting with the head. Observe any sensations or points of ease in the crown of the head. The forehead and back of the head. Just making note now. Comfort or discomfort. The brow line and eyes. Ears and cheeks. Mouth and jaw. Noting areas of tension and ease, and allowing space to be made for balance. The throat and neck. The shoulders, front and back. And scanning now from the upper arms to the elbows. And the lower arms to the wrists. Hands to fingertips. And notice the areas of tension and allow them to relax while observing the areas of ease. Scan the chest now and upper back. Upper abdomen and mid-back. Lower abdomen and lower back. The pelvic region and tip tailbone, the hips, and starting at the top of the thighs, scan to the knees, both front and back. And lower legs to ankles. And feet, and finally the toes, allowing all to be as it is, peace and not at peace. And now feel the body as a whole. Simply become aware of it through feeling, without judgment, only observation. And now observe the breath in its natural state. Is it light and shallow, or deep and full, rapid or slow? And if you're not able to recognize the breath through feeling, place one or both hands over your tummy or wherever you can to feel the breath at its fullest, the rise and fall of your breath through your hands. And notice as the breath changes, accept and observe the breath. And as you become aware your thoughts have drawn you away from your focus on your breath, look at the way the thought feels in the body. And notice if the thought creates a feeling, and briefly look at where that feeling is. And if you have no feeling in the body related to the thought, call it a thought and realize it as neutral. And if there is feeling with the thought, note if it is pleasant or not pleasant, and observe how and where it feels in the body. And if you are only having a feeling or sensation, then observe the feeling or sensation and whether it is pleasant or not pleasant. And after each observation, return to the breath. And if the thought or feeling persists, simply note pleasant or not pleasant or neutral. Give it a label, one word, and again return to the breath. And now focus more deeply on the breath. And if you are not able to remain focused on the breath without the mind wandering off, then assign either a mantra to each breath or count them 1 through 10, and then return again to 1 to begin again. And now, please allow the mind its freedom to do as it will. As we conclude this meditation, I would like you to include an extension of it in active life, or endeavor to at least. And don't worry if you forget. As long as you set the intention, it will eventually arrive. And the intention I would like you to set is during active life. I would like you to observe throughout your waking hours of the day and notice without judgment those who support your thoughts and ideas and those who don't, and how that feels in your body while first observing your breath. Identify the thoughts and feelings as either pleasant, not pleasant, or neutral. And if the feeling is deep, assign the thoughts and feelings one word, perhaps validation or invalidation, or whatever word you would choose. If the exchange does not feel good, Do not engage. Just notice how it affects the body and breath. If it feels good, please do enjoy without losing focus on the body and breath. And regardless, try to observe yourself and others without judgment, only observation, and note the experience, positive, not positive, or neutral. Now you may choose to go to sleep or be on with your day. And if you wish to go to sleep, if you are able, please comfortably turn your head to the right and drift off to the sound of my voice after giving gratitude for the day and tomorrow and all week long. And if you wish to rise, please slightly turn your head to the left and become aware of your body, fingers and toes, hands and feet, legs and arms, tummy and torso, shoulders, neck, face, and head. And finally, your body as a whole. And observe, does the body feel heavy or light, relaxed or tense? Now recognize the points of contact and become aware of the sounds around you. Open your eyes and become aware of your surroundings, the things you see and hear. And after giving gratitude for the day, while holding the feeling of joy in your heart, you may rise when you are ready. And remember, as you move throughout the day, to try to become aware of the breath and the body and how thoughts and emotions feel in the body. Identify them and label them. This generally takes a lot of time before we actually remember to do it the first time. But when you finally do remember to do it, notice how much more stability and command it gives you in whatever situation you're dealing with. And don't worry if you forget, as long as you remember to set the intent and make a concerted effort to focus on the breath, eventually you'll remember. So if we set the intention every day within the first 5 minutes before we arise, it will eventually happen, especially if we start the morning by getting into our bodies first and becoming aware of the breath, and then reminding ourselves to do that throughout the day. But don't worry if you forgot about it in the morning. Just whenever you remember. It's easy to do. And I hope you had a great time at Inside the Mind Meditations. And please feel free to subscribe to our channel. And if you're starting here, you may want to watch our earlier podcasts. And please know that in the future we will have a new podcast about once per week. Best to you always.